Hello, folks. Welcome back. It's Muhammad again. So, what we're going to do in this lecture, we're going to manage replication between both of the actual global catalog servers, which are both of the domain controllers themselves. So, look what we're going to do over here. I'm going to go back to server one. Let me just log on. The password. So, remember, the protocol that is used to verify the actual authentication is actually called Kerberos, right? The Kerberos server itself, which is my actual domain controller. So what I want to show you is when I open DNS, remember before when I opened the TCP folder, there was only one GC. Now I have two GCs, one for server one, one for server two as you see, right? So this is actually a good sign too. All right, what does that mean? Well, let's take a look. First of all, which console do I have to be in? Tools, Active Directory, Sites, and Services manages replication between all the domain controllers. Then I'm going to actually open the same thing on the other server. I could do it from one server. I'll do it from the graphical interface on this server. Then on server one, I'll actually do it from the command line. What does that mean? Take a look at this. So when I click here, I can see the partner, which is server two. Changes that happen on two, I could right click and just force replication, and this will force replication from two to one. If changes were done on one and I want to force replication two, I could just right click and choose replicate now. Right? But take a look at this. When I double click this, I could take a look and see the actual, who is the actual server. And I could look at the schedule. Once per an hour, I could even customize this. How often do I want replication? Right. So that's one thing. That's what I could also do. What I could also do is this. If I open services, there's an actual service that is called Active Directory Domain Services. If I restart that, that also forces replication, but you'll be kicking out users off. So if I restart, look at all these different services that it depends on. Look, all this is for replication, DNS, and all that Kerberos, right? And I'm going to click yes. This will trigger a replication too. So that's another way to force replication. Now, what does that actually mean? Let me make a change and see how this actually works for us. Hopefully, it doesn't replicate right away. So what I'm going to do is let me go to server one. Watch this. And let me open tools and Active Directory users and computers. I want to make a little actual change. All right. Look at this. I'm going to create an actual organizational unit, an actual department for testing. So I'm going to click. I know you're going to be covering this. Let's call this test one. All right. And click OK. This is actually on server one. If I want to check and see if it's synced to server two, I could connect to server two from here and I could see it's not there. So this is a good sign. So what I could do is I could go back to my second server and force replication from where? From one to two. So if I right click and do replicate, see, I have to open the one I want to replicate to, and this replicates from one to two and replicate now. So now I just force replication from one to two. So what I could do is also from here, because this is actually the instance of server two, this time when I refresh it, I could check from here. I could see it's actually there. So this is actually a good thing as you see, right? So I did force replication. Get force replication also from the command line. Watch this. I'm going to do it actually from server one. So if I open the command prompt, watch this. And the command for that is actually called repadmin. So I'm going to type repadmin space slash question mark, ask for help, replication administrator. Lots of commands. All right. So this is how it's actually done. At least it tells me how I could actually force replication. What I could do is I could do a simple command over here. Just say rep admin, right? And space slash sync all. Force replication. There you go. That's how I could force replication from one server to another, right? So that's actually doing it from the actual command line, I would say so. So that's how you could manage and maintain replication. Remember, it happens once per an hour. I could use sites and services, or I could use the actual command line to make sure both of my domain controllers are actually up to date when it comes up to objects, resources, organizational units, and all of that. And remember, there's a service which is called Active Directory Domain Services, which is right over here, right? And if I double click it, I mean, I could see the service name, which is NTDS. I could actually do this from the command line. So if I open the command line also, watch this, I could do the following. Let me just change the colors to green, right? And maybe the font. a little bit more. 28 is fine. So I could say net stop, all right, NTDS, and it tells me which services. I could say yes, go ahead and stop these services. Then I could do net start NTDS, or I could use PowerShell to restart the service. I mean, anything that I do in the graphical, I could actually do it in command line. So now the service is actually being stopped. So then I could do net start NTDS, right? That's the name of the service. That's how I could start Active Directory domain services right now. So both of my domain controls are synced, they're up to date, and that's how you could actually manage replication either through Active Directory sites and services, or it could be done actually through the command line as we see, right? So let's just keep that in mind. That's this right over here, which is managing replication. Our next lecture is going to be talking about the FISM roles. This is actually very, very interesting. So we'll see you guys in a moment. All right, then. Okay, then. Bye, guys.